Hello! Today is not a Monday, but it is the day that I want to talk about my upcoming challenge for December. Also mention the challenge I would love to do for next year. And thirdly, a sort of announcement query on this channel, just feeling out what people would like. So I would love to hear any and all opinions that you might have. And yeah, let's just start off with the challenge, which is the first matter of business, the thing that will begin the soonest. And this is my 12 first volumes of Christmas challenge that I mentioned in my last October haul video. So yeah, I just wanted to go through all the challenges and also show you what I am thinking of reading for each one. Of course, it's always subject to change, mind you. So if there is a volume I stumble upon that I want to talk about more that fits a prompt, it might not be the final lineup, but it is my starting lineup. It is the 12 first volumes that I have chosen, and I just wanted to share them with you in case you were also thinking of reading any of those and we could, kind of read them together, or if you were struggling for ideas of any of the prompts. But yeah, first off, let me just say these prompts are just ideas. This challenge is just supposed to be fun and casual. So of course you can do it however you like, whether that is like adhering to the rules 100% or maybe like 80% and you read a couple ongoing series, totally okay. Or if you might not want to read all manga, you can throw in a novel or graphic novel, a light novel, a danme, like the world is your oyster. This is just a fun challenge for December that I would like to include you all in. So I hope as many of you as possible can join me, and we can, discuss each week on here when I talk about the first volumes I've read, and also over on my Instagram where I will be posting the volumes I read for the challenge as well. So follow me over there. So let's just run through the prompts and the volumes that I have picked and any possible suggestions I have, because I wanted to throw out some suggestions for the winter vibes one because I thought that might be more tricky for people to just come up with off the top of their head. But yeah. So first up, for the first prompt, it is the first volume or whatever read that you want to do that has been on your TBR for a while. I do have first volumes that have been sitting on my TBR for longer than this one, but I really need to read this one because my friend bought it for me and he really wants me to hear what I have to say about it. And I feel bad that he bought it for me last Christmas and I have not read it. So that is my first read of December. Uncle from Another World. It is isekai, it's supposed to be comedy, and I'm really looking forward to it. The reason that I haven't wanted to read it is, one, I get nervous that I don't like something as much, especially when a friend has recommended it to me or gifted it to me. I always get a little nervous about that, some trepidation, like, oh, what if I hate it? And then the bigger part of me is like, I'll probably love this and want to collect every fucking volume, and then there goes my bank account. I already have so many series I'm collecting. So I kind of just put it on the back burner. But yeah, whether it's option A or option B, I just kept putting this one off, but I am determined to read it. Moving on now, we have red cover, and that is Kiruru Kill Me. So this is a assassin love story, kind of. This guy is very much infatuated with an assassin and takes a hit out on himself just so he can interact with her. Wackadoo. Your priorities, man. But I think it sounds pretty funny, and so it could win me over. However, I could just want to punch this man. It's a 50-50 for me. But I got it on sale a while ago at the manga store, and I definitely want to read it. And Kiruru looks hot, looks smoking. So yeah, I hope I like it. Next up, we have a fantasy volume. This could be any type of fantasy that you want, whether it's dark fantasy, high fantasy, they use magic, you know, sky's the limit. But I picked Maiden of the Needle Volume 1. Sadly, in my haul video, where I share this volume that I bought in October, someone said they really didn't like it, or they like got weirded out by it. So I'm kind of intrigued, but also concerned that I will also not be a huge fan of this one. However, I'm really excited to read it. The art looks so phenomenal. And yeah, this one might be also a reincarnated isekai type story, but we're just... I have no words to defend myself for that one. However, there is another fantasy one that I haven't read yet that I'm also contemplating reading for this prompt. So we're already starting with the possible crumbling of my lineup, but yeah. I just thought I'd mention it here, and that is Ragna Crimson. This one definitely feels like a more dark fantasy, high fantasy vibe to it, which I'm not always a high fantasy girly pop, okay? Like, I love me fantasy, but I like it usually light and whimsical. But I just really had heard good things about this one and found a lot with some of the volumes in it. And so I picked it up. So I have two options. Shit. So I have two options for this. Of course, feel free to let me know if you would prefer me to read one over the other, because your suggestions, recommendations, opinions will all be taken into consideration. Don't you worry. Vote down below. Next up is favorite genre. Of course, that's gonna look different for everyone. I mean, obviously you saw like the first two volumes on this list. Like, it's gonna be isekai. It's gonna be I'll become a villainess who goes down in history, romance elements, fantasy elements, and my shoujo sei isekai. Those are the genres. Those are my favorite genres. This has all three things. Like, yeah, like I couldn't ask for a more like me read. So I'm saving it for December. And that is followed by cozy read. So cozy can mean like all manner of things, but just like if the cover gives cozy, if the story gives cozy, you know, even if it turns out not to be a cozy read, that's, you know, it is what it is. But anything that you think looks like a warm hug and a good fluffy time. And I picked A Man and His Cat. I have been sitting on this one, not reading this one for a while. I honestly don't know how long. Like, I think it's been on my like proverbial TBR, like the TBR in the shadows, the one that's not in my face, just on the back burner for so long. And that is because I did not feel like I enjoyed slice of life. Those kind of stories were boring to me, but I do feel like, along with my romance renaissance, that I've also gained a deeper appreciation for slice of life. And so I think it's the time. I think the time is now for me to read A Man and His Cat. And I mean, how much cozier can you get than this cover? That is so much cozy cute vibes. Like, this cat is so adorable, which of course is the reason I picked it up. It's just a little absolute chonker with this happy little chonky face. Oh, so cute. And next prompt is action adventure volume. I'm going for Candy and Cigarettes. So this is one that I had not been super like, oh my god, I need to read that when it was released, but I saw the first volume used at my manga store, and I picked it up a couple months back or so, and it's just been sitting on my TBR since then. So I'm like, you know what? It's time to read it. We got a child assassin. Let's see if I love it or I hate it. This one I feel like can be another one where I either like get really into the characters and the story, or I won't. I mean, obviously that's a possibility for everything you pick up and read, but like more so with certain premises, and like this is one of them where I'm not sure how I feel about it, but I do love me assassins in general. So I'm hoping it's an interesting read, and maybe even a good time. So I was also thinking of doing this one for the prompt of green cover, but I had another one that'd been sitting on my TBR for a while that has green in it. Enough green, I feel anyway, to constitute being a green cover. So I am using The Guy She Was Interested In Wasn't a Guy at All for my 2024 release. So that's any volume, any book, any whatever that it was released this year in 2024. I just thought it'd be, you know, fun to you know, read a newer book. Obviously some others were released in 2024, but I'm really hyped on reading this one. I've heard like people really loving it and thinking it's not that great. I do tend to go into things not thinking it'll be the best thing I ever read when I see it, you know, hyped up on the internet, just because you can overhype something in your mind. You can think, oh my god, this is gonna be the best thing that ever was, and then it's just a Yuri romance. So I'm going into this thinking, I hope it's just a cute Yuri romance. So this one is the prompt that I thought people might have a hard time with, and that is first volume or whatever you're reading that gives you winter vibes. So I just wanted to like suggest a few that I've read that I think are really good if you wanted to pick something up for the challenge, or just to read in general, or that you've had on your shelf and you maybe haven't been reading and you're like, oh, yay, that fits perfect, I'll read it then. For me, I will be reading A School Frozen in Time. Obviously, the winter vibes are the little snowflakes, so it's not like crazy winter energy, just enough. Again, like with the red cover, if they're not wearing a summer, you know, if they're not wearing a bathing suit, you count it. Like, seriously. But yeah, this is a 4-volume complete series. I completed all of it. I haven't read it yet. And I don't know, so I'm excited to read it. Now, moving on to the ones that you might be interested in checking out. First up are some romance titles. We have Aoharu Ride, sporting a lovely scarf, very winter. We also have Cole in the back here with a lovely scarf. It's shoujo. It's very high school romance, cutesy vibes. So there's that. If you want a more mature romance, I say that in quotes because like, even though we're adults, let's be honest, our romance ain't that much more mature than the high schoolers. But if you want one following adults, we have The Ice Guy and The Cool Girl. I wasn't blown away by this first volume, I will say, but it had that cute, cozy office place romance that was just cute enough to make me interested in it. Obviously, it's got a little snowman, blankie, and snowflakes. It's very winter vibes, and one of our main protagonists here, Himuro, is actually a modern day ice god. So when he gets flustered or, you know, in certain moments, he will like actually make things start to freeze and snow and whatever else happens, cold and ice and snow related. Yeah, I really think that's a cute premise, and I am gonna continue it. It's just not one that's like high on my favorite fantasy romance reads. But now we have the non-romance contenders. First up, we have Black Knight Parade. This is one I read last Christmas time. I think it's like a perfect Christmas time read. It has to do with bad Santa and all that implies. And I really like the premise. It's just one that I don't want to read if it's not Christmas time. So I do really want to pick up at least volume 2, if not a couple volumes, because since picking up volume 1, a couple more have released. And yeah, I think it's time to revisit this story again. But yeah, if you want those winter vibes and you want to make it Christmas, can't go wrong with this one. 2 that are more introspective and like more philosophical, thought-provoking, maybe deep, I don't know. First up, we have Emanon. Memories of Emanon. And, you know, you can see her breath. She's got a sweater on. Winter vibe. And our last contender for winter vibe possible reads, Don't Call It Mystery. I read this one also sometime around last year, around this time. I love me a good mystery. Obviously, this is my, I guess, least winter vibes. Winter, he's wearing a jacket. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, go for the you know, sky's the limit. Seriously, like, if they're bundled up a little bit, it gives me winter vibes at least. So yeah, there's some suggested first volumes for that prompt, and just, you know, kind of what you can look for in your own collection, or when you're out if you wanted to get something new for it. I don't know, you know, whatever. Next up, we have the romance prompt. And for this one, I want to end this love game. I grabbed this semi recently in the sale section, and it looks really cute, and just about these childhood friends that are on the very cusp of friends to maybe more, but neither want to admit their true feelings really. So yeah, you know, cute and sweet. And then for green cover, I picked my dear friend Nokotan. So I picked this one up so long ago. It was actually a pre-order from Right Stuff. That's how long ago that's how long I've had this freaking volume and not read it. It just looked really cute and silly, off the wall, comedic energy, kind of giving Nichijou vibes for me. But it's one of those things where they're either a hit or a miss again, and so I've just been like, I don't know, it's not the right time, I'm not feeling it, but I'm feeling it for December. Now is the time. I'm going to read this, and there's enough green, but the other one, the guy she was interested wasn't a guy at all. Definitely more stark green, but you can have just a little and it still counts. That's just what I wanted to point out. Next up is my most anticipated, and it's Medaka Kuroiwa is impervious to my charms. So this is my most anticipated because two friends recommended me this one. They said they really thought I would like it. It gives me the rom-com energy goodness that I so love and would be like my next top choice and favorite genre. But yeah, I really love me a good rom-com. What can I say? So yeah, that's my most anticipated read. I also, though, I do have one more. And I am not 100% sure because it's one that's coming out end of November, and that's After God. This one just looks really interesting, has a really interesting premise. So I'm also really highly anticipating that one. You know, it's gonna be a wait and see kind of thing. And like, you know, like I said, it's casual and it's fun. And if I want to mention both, having read both, then I will. But I'm just letting you know all my prospective reads. And lastly, we have the LGBTQ plus BL, GL, or any one in between. I just wanted to suggest, you know, you could also just read a BL or a GL for this. And I've so far decided on Hatsukoi Note. It just, I know I read it before a while ago online, but I just don't really remember much of it. And it looks so soft, and I keep getting drawn by this cover, just drawn to it. But I also am really intrigued to read. I cross-dressed for the IRL meetup, and this one just gives more of those LGBTQ plus vibes in general. And as I mentioned when I got it in, on the back says it's a lighthearted comedy about love, friendship, gender nonconformity, and what it means to be your true self. So it just sounds like one of those that like covers like just a more broad LGBTQ plus type read. So I don't know. It's also on the possible docket, but I'm leaning towards that BL just because it's giving. Yeah, that wraps up everything I wanted to talk about for the challenge. Again, I really, really hope you will join me and just have fun with it. Nothing too serious, and if you don't end up doing all 12 prompts, that's okay too. The hashtag I will post about on my Instagram. Obviously, if you aren't doing it on Instagram, it doesn't really matter to you. But yeah, so just keep a lookout for that. If you are going to do it on Instagram, when I post on there, I will share that. And with that, we'll move on to my second piece of news, which is my second perspective challenge. One that I really want to do next year, and it's going to be reading all of Bleach. Calling it the Bleach It 2025 challenge. Bleach It. I don't know, it sounds hilarious. I love it. But yeah, I read Naruto fully for the first time, like all the way through, all 72 volumes of it, in 2020 for a challenge that my friend put on. And I thought, hey, it's time. It's been 5 years now since I tackled a really long series. I really liked the way they structured it by just, you know, proposing that you read a set amount of volumes each month, whether it's, you know, varies between 6 and 7, I think, but, you know, just a doable amount each month. I really think it'd be fun to just, you know, put it out there for everyone to join in, whether you've read Bleach and want to reread it, or you've never read Bleach and are curious about it. I mean, it's one of the top shonen for a reason, guys, I assume. I don't know, I've never finished it. But, you know, there's always ways you can find to read for free or cheap. I read a lot of the volumes of Naruto from getting them from my local library. So you can check there to see if they have any of the volumes. I think they're also all available on the Shonen Jump app if you have that. I don't know if that costs you to read. I don't have the Shonen Jump app, but I know they have a lot of stuff on there available to read digitally. And yeah. So it's totally, you know, another challenge that's just, I'm opening up to everyone, and I think it'd be fun to do with as many people as want to do it. And after having done my first, like, what was it called? Reading sprint. Yeah, reading sprint with Bizarre Individual, and of course others. Sorry, but he was the host. But yeah, so we did that reading sprint, and I guess you just like go and you read for a chunk of time, and then you like talk about it. Maybe I could do that once a month, just do a casual little live in which I read Bleach, and then you possibly could read it with me, or just read whatever you want with me. I mean, honestly, but I'm opening that up as a suggestion that could be maybe something fun, and just do like casual little lives here or there, because like now that I've done a couple for him, I'm a little less intimidated. I mean, it'd be still intimidating because I'm the only one doing it. But yeah, we'll see. There's an option, of course. Let me know what you think if you want to read Bleach with me next year, and Izzy wants to read Bleach. But yeah, I hope you will join me for that challenge as well. Like I said, there's ways you can get the volumes and not commit to buying all of them, but I own them all. My dumbass bought them all and then just never ended up reading them all. I read a chunk of them when I was a kid. I watched a chunk of the anime, so you know, I'm not altogether in the dark about Bleach, but yeah, I just never finished it. And I honestly, like, I'm really curious to find out how it ends. So yeah. So that would be a fun 2025 challenge. Hopefully you'll be along for the ride. Whether you participate or not, it's completely up to you. But yeah, again, just another fun little thing to do with you all on the channel. But yeah, and then the last manner of business is the one I kind of like would like you to hear your suggestions and opinions on the most. And that is, I'm really biased. And that is that I'm really interested in talking about certain things with anime and stuff, and like maybe motivating myself to watch some more anime. I've gone into like a practical anime slump. I watched only 2 anime this year, Freer and The Apothecary Diaries so far. So I just I thought maybe if I either made a new YouTube channel focusing more on the anime aspect. I have done videos here and there talking more about anime and stuff on here, but it just feels like I want this one to stay more just about manga content really, and so then I could talk about anime related stuff more on that channel possibly, or doing them on a Patreon. So Patreon means that you would have to pay for it. I mean, I feel like everybody online knows what a Patreon is, but just in case you didn't know. So if I did it for Patreon, it would mean asking people to pay money to then watch the content. It would be one video for sure every month that was like more thought out. And like a tier list, or you know, like talking about multiple different watches like I do with multiple different reads and stuff and categories on this channel, and then sprinkled with some more just casual chit-chatty type videos, or videos that are short and just talking about one anime or even just one section of an anime. But yeah, I'm just like, I'm torn between setting up a whole new channel to do it with that would then of course be free for you, or to do Patreon. And like I just don't feel like I'm a big enough YouTuber to do a Patreon, but I feel like it will also be a struggle to run a whole nother channel, you know, at the same time as this one. So that's where I'm like kind of not sure, and I'd love any of your suggestions or opinions, or what you would rather see from me. This of course wouldn't begin wouldn't begin until January of next year. So this is just something I've been thinking on. I want to expand, I want to do more on here, but it's just hard when I have like actual real world jobs and like responsibilities to like juggle this channel as it is, let alone a whole other channel maybe. And so maybe the Patreon would be easier. I don't know, because I also like obviously have never done a Patreon. I don't think I've even ever joined anyone's Patreon other than like pin Patreons when I was really into pins back in the day, but they weren't like, they were just like a pin club kind of. But yeah, like kind of I guess is what I would model it more off of. Like the casual videos would be more of like a book club, but instead of a book club or pin club, it would be like, this is like, you can vote on what anime you want me to watch, and then you would maybe watch it with me, hear what I have to say, hear what you have to say, just chat about it. And then of course, like if it's a YouTube video, you know what to expect. So same stuff as you're getting, only with focus on anime. And I also think that could be fun because I could reach more people and it doesn't feel as restricted and behind a paywall. So yeah, I am not sure what I want to do. I'm not sure if I could do either. I mean, as of right now, it is a hope, a thought, a wish, is not set in stone. But yeah, any comments, any thoughts you have on it are greatly appreciated. And that's the end of this video. It was longer than I anticipated. I thought it was just gonna be a short informational video, but as always I drone on, so sorry about that. But yeah, I hope you join the challenge for December. I hope you join me for the Bleach challenge next year, and I can't wait to read what you have to say in terms of me doing another YouTube channel focused on anime, and or I don't know why I said and or a Patreon or starting a Patreon. So yeah, so thank you so much for watching this video. I know it's just a lot of informational garbage, but if you watched all the way through, I really appreciate you, and I hope to see you next Monday. Until then, bye.